Hi, my name is Mary Spender, and you are watching
Tuesday Talks.
And this is Adam Neely.
Tuesday Talks.
We can tell by your t-shirt that you might play bass.
Oh yes, I am a bass player. If you would, need a bass player, I'm your guy.
Did you start on bass?
I actually started on guitar. My father had a classical guitar,
Right.
and I started learning how to play a couple of folk songs in about the 7th grade. And there was a band starting up in school, and they did not need another guitar player. They needed a bass player.
Right.
And I was like, all right, I'm your guy. I'm going to play bass. And that's kind of how I started with it, and I started playing bass. And it was about the 8th grade, and like 12, 13 years old. And yeah, it's just been that ever since. I come from a fairly musical family. My mom is a musician. She's a voice teacher. Both my uncles are also musicians. My grandparents on that side were musicians. But on my father's side, they're all teachers. So my dad is an information specialist. All my aunts and uncles are all teachers. So I'm kind of destined from both sides to be a music teacher. And that is how I got my start on my bass teaching thing.
Yeah, is that how you would describe yourself?
I would probably describe myself, and this is what it is on my business card, as a bassist/YouTuber. And YouTuber is kind of a term I use to describe what I do. I make videos on YouTube. I make educational videos on YouTube, and I try and spread the joy of music making, the excitement that I feel whenever I'm learning all these crazy things about music.
Yeah.
I try and spread that with people. But I also am very much a bass player. I play in a bunch of bands. I do a lot of session work. I do a lot of things in the New York City area and also elsewhere where I get to play bass and play music with other people. So I definitely have like kind of two approaches to what it is that I do, both the educational approach and the bass playing approach.
Honestly, in terms of your videos that you create, I've never had music theory and all the crazy subjects you choose to do video essays about. I've never had them explained so succinctly and in such an understandable way. And I studied classical music, but I never quite got it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be able to talk about it the way you talk about it.
Well, one of the things that I'm very lucky to have had is I've had, again, a very musical family, and a lot of it was growing up in that way, but a lot of people have had that. But I also grew up just having people encouraging me to learn things, and I had kind of have an obsessive desire to learn and try and get at whatever the thing is that I'm talking about. So recently I've been learning about tuning, why it is that we tune the way that we do, why we have 12 notes, why 12, why not 15, why not 22, 27, 31. There's a bunch of different ways that you could have. Why is it 12? Is it just something that somebody's picked one day? Is it just something that, and these are the questions that I'm asking myself and learning. And a lot of it is just about asking questions.
Yeah.
Challenging what it is that you think you know. And you think you know so many things. And it turns out that even if you don't change that opinion, just by asking the question, you're now opening the doors to a whole bunch of different other things.
Would you say the more you know, the more you realize the less?
Yeah,
of course. Obviously, that's the famous.
Yeah, it's a super trite way of thinking. Well, it's not trite, but it's there's the circle of knowledge, and as it's expanding, the amount of area outside the circle of knowledge expands with it. And I love that. I love not knowing things because the mystery is what is it? What is over there? What is over there? And I try to communicate that excitement. So not everybody is going to get off on learning about Phrygian dominant scales. I do, but not everybody is going to get off on learning about linguistic theory. I do. Not everybody is going to get off on some of the mathematical things with music, and I definitely like to try and share that excitement with the world. That's what I'm trying to do.
And it comes across. But just going back to some of the other things that you're interested in, but in terms of scales and the difference between
which scales do you like?
Well, what scales? No, I'm not going to ask that question. Between Western and Eastern music, that's what that sort of side of it I find quite fascinating. Again, my knowledge is subpar, but
well, what it is, and the thing is that it's so complicated. I've only just begun to understand it, but Western music and Eastern music, there isn't on a fundamental level much of a difference between how humans relate to music. A lot of it has to do with the harmonic series. So whenever we're talking or whenever we're singing, there are overtones, there are notes that ring in sympathy with the fundamental pitch that we sing. So if we sing a C, or that's not a C, I don't know. I'm not a singer, so please don't judge. But if we sing something, or speak or say anything, there are other notes which are in the actual sound of our voice. And that sort of order, those extra tones, those tones which naturally build because of physics, are reflected in some way or form across all cultures in the entire world. And it's just been sort of changed, and people have done these like little tweaks over the many centuries to actually get to where we are right now. In Western music and now global music, we have the 12-tone equal tempered system, which is basically one version of it. But in other cultures, there are slight variations. In Hindustani music, you have sargam, which is still like a major scale. They have like exactly the same tones of the major scale, but all these other slight variations. And I like making those connections between everything, because it shows, well, we all are the same. I know some of the things that I end up saying sound and feel trite when I say them, but I'm arriving at it in a very like exploratory way. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just kind of arriving there, because the more you learn, the more you understand that things are connected in a much more fundamental way than appear on the surface.
Definitely.
So yeah, that's my rant on temperament.
It has been fascinating talking to you about this over like this whole trip. But one of the things I love about your videos is how obviously you create the video essays, but sometimes you do the vlog style stuff. And one video that resonated with me was you learning the score in the back of a cab on the way to a gig to stand in for something, and it was like this dance thing, and it was just crazy, because those are the sorts of things that happen as a professional musician. And even just, when I was studying, that was the sort of thing you were thrown, those sorts of challenges and sight reading challenges. And but that was what I really loved. And do you have any more of those sorts of things like in store, and those sorts of challenges that you face, and just like documenting it as a New York musician gigging?
Well, those gig vlogs are a lot of fun to put together, but they're very stressful, and they add another layer of stress.
Well, because it's already a stressful moment trying to learn music
and
in
then
the back of the cab.
Meanwhile, hold up, let me set up from this shot or whatever. So it's very run or gun. In that particular video, I was very fortunate to get the shots that I did.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, I'm not as fortunate, and sometimes like audio gets ruined or whatever. But yeah, I try to do that. I try and accurately show what it's like to actually be a musician, like in a city, and actually doing these really thrown together, really like hanging by the seat of our pants sorts of situations.
Yeah.
And I have the YouTube platform to sort of share that experience. There's a bunch of different there's one earlier on where it's just the sort of like goofing off on the bandstand, like where you're just like in a background music, like just sort of cocktail hour, jazz hour, nobody's really paying attention. And there's a counter to show how many times we played the lick during the actual performance. And so that's like another dumb thing, like the actual just sort of like humor behind the bandstand. And I'm able to document it, and I'm able to share that and like tell a story with it. And like it's fun, because it's like, this is actually what's going on, and not like, I'm not trying to like hide it. I'm trying to like tell an accurate reflection of what it's like. It's hard. It's very hard, but it's always fun to actually when it comes together. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to? Maybe you need to just communicate to me, really, your obsession with the lick.
I can do that.
Because
So
I've seen the 5-hour video. I didn't watch all of it.
You haven't watched all of the 5-hour?
Are you offended?
Mary, God. So what the lick is this guy, Alex Heidliger, I think is his name. He's a professor at a school in Nevada. I'm forgetting it right now. Anyway, he put together this compilation of this one particular lick that a lot of jazz musicians just sort of sneak in there. And it became this like viral video funny thing. And it was for the longest time kind of an underground thing among jazz musicians, where like you play the lick and be like, haha, at my graduate recital. Graduate in like 2011, 2012, somebody wrote a song using just the lick, and I was like, oh, that's funny. But then I started doing just to continue the joke among the people in the know, I started doing that as interstitial music in a lot of my videos. I started just throwing it out there as just kind of like a signature, like branding myself to this, which has now turned into this weird, huge thing. And I saw a comment on Reddit the other day saying like the lick is now the Wilhelm scream of music. Like you hear it everywhere. It's just like a thing that like sneaks in, and now everybody, if you play it, is like which is fun. It's like it's now been memed officially.
It's a meme, yeah.
It's fantastic, and that it's just a dumb little thing that
it kind of shows the power, yeah.
Yeah, that's the lick.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, thank you very much for joining me on Tuesday Talks, and I'll see you next week. But thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.